So hello, welcome back to Go Again Gaming. Today we're going to be discussing why PRISM might have less life than the other heroes revealed thus far. But before we go into it, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and click the little bell notification if you want to be notified of any future videos, and check out the link tree in the description box below for ways that you can help support this channel directly. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming. But yeah, before we get into it, we're going to be discussing today why we think PRISM is going to have a lot less life than other heroes, as well as some other sort of things in the spoilers that we've seen from Dusk Till Dawn, and theorising and speculating a little bit. So it's just one of those videos to throw out into the aether for thought-provoking purposes. But yeah, Dusk Till Dawn. You can't see my finger because I'm green screened out. But yeah, the new upcoming set, which is going to be released in July, with spoilers starting in late June, I believe. But let's start this video with the new heroes of the set. So we have Vincent and PRISM. There might be someone else. And with the key art here as well, you can see that obviously there's 3 stained glass windows and only 2 heroes. But it is a supplementary set, so that probably makes sense with regards to only having 2 new heroes. Because I imagine they're both going to be adult versions. Well, with PRISM, we already know this, but I imagine it's going to be the same with Vincent as well. So as you can see, obviously, got the shadow border for Vincent and obviously the light border for PRISM. I'm flashing up Vincent because we're going to be making some comparisons and polarity between these two classes and what we can potentially see going forward with regards to what their mechanics already do. But yeah. So as you can see, Vincent is on 20 life, so standard Blitz hero. Obviously, if we do the maths, normally you just double the life for the adult hero. So Vincent will be 20 and then 40 in CC, of course. PRISM is where it gets interesting. Now, this is the lowest health, apart from Kano, which is obviously the one-turn kill combo, spantastic, that isn't even a word, hero, who starts on 15 life. 25% less life than the other heroes, which is ridiculous. So if we use the same maths here, PRISM is on 16 life, a 4 life deficit, which we'll get into later, stay tuned. But if we double that, we end up at 32 life. So PRISM's going to be potentially a 32 life adult hero, which is a massive difference. 8 life differential and 4 life differential in Blitz. But one of the main theories I have behind this is the Angel card, which was released recently. So let's have a look at the Angel card. And I'm flashing this up alongside an Angel that already exists in Soraya. So we got Bologna. Archangel of War was the one that was spoiled recently. We don't have the Invoke side yet because we don't know what that's going to be. But we can make speculations already based on what we know already. So Bologna, Archangel of War was spoiled, and it opens up a load of possibilities and questions as to what could happen with the mechanics and the flavour of this set. Because if you look at Soraya, Archangel of Knowledge, Soraya is a legendary, right? But we already know how to conjure Soraya by invoking her using spectral shields. So as you can see here, the Invoke Soraya costs 2, blocks for 3. It's a legendary, so you can only have the 1. So that could be sort of precedent for the Angels, that they could only be one-offs. And it makes sense because they're sort of character, comma, and then title. Like Bologna, comma, Archangel of War. Soraya, Archangel of Knowledge. Yeah. But as you can see here, the way you invoke this character, similar to how the dragons work, is you need a spectral shield. So it says transform target spectral shield you control into Soraya Arcane Herald. It says Arcane Herald on there, but it says Archangel of Knowledge on there. So that's strange. Into Soraya Arcane Herald, and on the reverse side it says Archangel of Knowledge. I've never noticed that before. But yeah, you need a spectral shield in order to conjure this particular Angel of Soraya. So do we think that's going to be the same with Bologna and the other Angels that probably will appear? But the thing is with that is, if we look at both of these cards, Soraya is a light illusionist card, Angel ally, and then Bologna is a light Angel ally. So Boltin can actually use Bologna Archangel of War. And that's interesting because I don't think there's any way to get spectral shields in Boltyn. So how would Boltyn be able to conjure Bellona, Archangel of War, if he doesn't have access to spectral shields? Because obviously, as we can see in the invoke side of Soraya here, you need a spectral shield to invoke Soraya. So that gives me sort of an inkling into the fact that we might not need spectral shields to conjure these angels, because obviously it wouldn't make any sense just to have Bellona be a light card. It would make sense to have Bellona be a light illusionist card, right? As like Soraya is. So we are going to go into some other theories as well in a moment, but that's also one of the things that stands out to me, is the fact that obviously you've got light illusionist and light. So are they going to be using the same sort of mechanics? So obviously the invoke Soraya is spectral shields, and we don't know what the invoke is on Bellona yet. But there's got to be a reason why it's just light only and not light illusionist here. But yeah, let's go back to Prism a moment, because obviously we look at the angels here. We should actually speak about the angels a little bit further, because obviously one of the key mechanics on these angels is Ward 4. So that obviously they have a bunch of abilities. You can pay 2 to attack with them. So yellow pitch obviously matters still with this light illusionist or light deck potentially. Yellow pitch matters, which makes sense because it's all yellow holy angels and stuff, right? Yeah, the main bit of text that we want to sort of allude to here with the life total question that we posed at the very, very beginning is the fact that they have Ward 4. So what does that mean? It means that if you were to take damage, you destroy the Archangel that you have in play, and you prevent 4 of that damage. So people that are tracking along now, if you think of the maths here, what life total does Prism Advent of Throne start at? It starts at 16. So that sort of tells me that Prism is going to have easy access to angels, because angels soak up 4 damage by the looks of it. Looking at these angels here, they both soak up 4 damage. So that tells me that Prism is going to have easy access to soak up 4 damage through an angel that might not necessarily be as difficult as summoning Soraya through spectral shields. She might just be able to banish cards from her soul and therefore create angels, which also would make sense if Boltyn would be able to access Bellona as well. But yeah, going a little bit off track with regards to the maths of this, if you think of 20 life, so if we look at Vincent, for instance, has 20 life. If you take away 4, which is what Prism's got, what does that equate to? That equates to 4 ward damage. And it's the same with the CC as well. So if you double these figures, right? If you double 16, what does that leave you? It leaves you with 32. So how many angels is that? That's 2 angels now. Ward 4, Ward 4. So they're basically doubling the formula here. So in a longer game of CC, you can expect a lot of angels, more so than Blitz, to come out, which is probably why it tracks with regards to the maths, because a lot of your angels are going to be able to soak up 4 damage constantly. So that's where the life differential is coming from, is the fact that the angels have ward on them. And it tracks with both the Blitz and the CC maths as well, with 16 minus 4 ward for one angel is 16. 20 minus 4 for the ward is 16, and then 40 minus 8 for 2 wards is 32. So maths is just all over the place. But hopefully I've explained that correctly for you. The maths does track if you look at it. But as we mentioned earlier, Soraya needs the spectral shields to be invoked, which is going to be interesting to see if that is still a mechanic on here, which we've already spoke about, because obviously the light Bellona is not an illusionist card, so that gives you the ability to play it in Boltyn. And how does Boltyn do stuff? Put stuff into his soul, charges, and all that sort of thing. So yeah. Now another thing which is tracks with regards to the mechanics and stuff in this set is the stuff that you conjure in order to do the thing. So if we go down the opposite route and have a look at rune chants and spectral shields, there's a couple of things here that are floating up. So prismatic shield and read the runes, for instance. These are things that obviously generate the stuff that you might need to conjure your angels. Like, for instance, with Soraya, you need spectral shields. Maybe Prismatic Shield's going to be able to do that for you, or similar to that, we're going to speak about demons in a moment, but rune chant tokens, things being able to create rune chant tokens. And these are quite different as well. They're quite polarizing effects, because if we look at both rune chants and spectral shields, they essentially are the same but opposed, right? So spectral shields prevent one, rune chants deal one. So it's quite a polarity between the two here. So spectral shields prevent damage and rune chants deal damage. So yeah, it's interesting polarity between the two there. But yeah, so obviously, if we go back to the new heroes, Vinset, there's a little bit of lore in the article that you can go and read that references rune gating. Now, rune gating, I think, is something to do with summoning demons. There's another piece of art, which I should have got for this video, which dictates Vinset sort of like this on her knees with a big demon in the background and sort of runes floating around her. That seems to me that she's going to be able to summon some stuff. And with regards to how she can do that, I think it could be similar to what we just saw in the rune chants and spectral shields. Because if we look at the angels, of course, Soraya can only be invoked via spectral shields. That could be different with Bellona, because Bellona is just a light card. We will see with regards to whether that's different. But these two things track similar mechanics, right? Because you're building up a large bank of either rune chants or spectral shields. You're either using the rune chants to potentially pop off and deal damage, or using the spectral shields to soak up damage. So the polarizing mechanics there on both sides of shadow and light, but also in this set potentially using them as ramp or some sort of cost or additional cost to summon creatures, which is going to be interesting, because I think there are going to be demons and angels in the set. It just makes sense, I think, with the whole sort of battle of the monarch, the old monarch art. Again, I don't have that on this particular OBS stream. Dictates like angels and demons clashing, like the old school monarch art. So it makes sense that rune gating could be summoning some stuff. But I thought it was just an interesting comparison between the two, that obviously rune chants deal damage and spectral shields prevent damage. Thought it was an interesting sort of polarity there between the two. Another thing as well, which is interesting, is the fact that angels, as you can see here, the way that they are destroyed is they are just dealt damage from ward, right? Now, the demons that we have are a lot different, because they actually have life totals. I'm just actually grabbing the images for these now, because I don't have these in the stream, which I'll be able to show you. But the demons themselves, when you summon them, they actually have life totals, which you have to attack. They don't just die from damage, whereas these do. Ward is basically a replacement effect, which means that if you were dealt damage, you instead prevent that much ward, essentially, and then destroy the thing. But if I just paste these demons in here quickly, you can see that they are a lot different. So we've got Ursa and Blasphemette. I imagine we'll get something along the lines of these demons here, but as you can see, they have an attack value and a defense and an actual life total, whereas the angels do not have that. The angels have the angels do have a life total, but they also have the ward as well, so they actually get destroyed straight away if you take damage. So if you had basically a Soraya out, so let's just get rid of Bellona. So if you had a Soraya out and you were to take, oh, sorry, that's the wrong image. So if you were to have a Soraya out and you were to take 5 damage, Soraya would just die. You know, if you were to take 1 damage, Soraya would just die, because obviously the ward, it says if your hero will be dealt damage, prevent 4 of that damage and destroy Soraya. So any damage going through is enough to kill these angels outright, and you obviously choose the replacement effect if you were to take damage. So you do have that sort of choice available to you to a certain degree, because obviously if you're dealt damage, you can just choose between either who dies, Bellona or Soraya, because you're dealt damage, you then replace that effect with destroying the angel which you want. Demons are different, because you have to attack them directly. You have to again, polarity between the two. If you're dealt any form of damage with an angel, you choose which one dies. With a demon, you have to attack that demon and deal that much damage to it to kill it. So again, it's completely different with regards to what you need to target with these two things. So yeah, there's a lot of differences already between Prism and Vinset if Vinset does actually go down this route. But we will see. We will see. Yeah, with regards to Vinset's mechanics, obviously it's Shadow Rune Blade. So obviously, if we look at the old heroes that were in these archetypes, we've got Prism and Chain. So obviously, Chain allowed us to banish stuff off the top of our deck every turn to be able to then go again, like give anything go again, essentially. And I think Vinset might have a similar mechanic where she wants to banish things in order to play them through the Rune Gate, essentially. Because the Rune Gate is probably like a portal to the demonic realm, and she's pulling those demons through. So she's probably got a way to fill the banished zone with regards to the demons, and then invoke the demons from the banished zone using the Rune Gates. But when you actually achieve that big hoop, the demons that are on the board are very nasty, I imagine. Something along those lines. And obviously the old Prism just cared about, banishing stuff from Soul to get a Spectral Shield. But I think the new heroes are going to be... I think Prism's going to be... It's going to be easy for Prism to have an Angel on board, maybe from the get-go, because of the fact her life is so low. Maybe she even starts with an Angel in play, and that would make sense with the life deficit that she has. But yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that we can come to expect. But I thought I'd bring up this video with regards to why Prism's life might be smaller, with regards to the Angel mechanics and other things that we might come to expect with all the polarities that we've seen between the two. I think with regards to one last thing on Vinset is obviously Chain is living legend, right? But in the article, which is on LSS's website, it says that Chain's teachings will remain. So I imagine that Vinset will be still playing around with the banished zone, and it makes sense because that's what Shadow likes to do. Leviah does it, Chain does it. So I think it's going to be about filling your banished zone with these demons, and then invoking those demons from the banished zone. And when you do, they're a force to be reckoned with. But what do you think? War of the Monarch is going to be coming very, very soon. There we go, 7th of July. So before we're in May now, so it's 2 months away before the next sets drop. That's just madness to me. But what do you think? Either way, I'm very, very excited for Dusk Till Dawn. I didn't really partake in Monarch, but I started Flesh and Blood just before Monarch released, essentially. So I didn't really play it because I saw like, banishing cards from Soul and the banished zone and all this sort of thing, and I just didn't touch Monarch because I was still new to the game, so I went back in time and experienced everything else. But I'm very much looking forward to this because this should be very, very good now that we've got 2 years experience behind us. But yeah, let us know in the comments below. These are just raw thoughts in regards to what we could see and what my reasoning is behind Prism's low life total. But yeah, what do you think? Leave a comment section below. Make sure you like and subscribe. Do all that good stuff. Check out Patreon and all that good stuff. That'll be fantastic. And we'll see you do it all over again very, very soon here on Go Again Gaming. Cheers.